What's going on, guys? Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to teach you how to set up your D series of professional power amplifiers. In this video, I'm using the D12, but the setup we go through also applies for the other models in this series like the D14. Now, these power amplifiers are 1.5U rack mountable, meaning that we can mount them to any rack case or rack mount by screwing them in at the four corners here. So let's go over all of the features of the D12 starting at the front here. You'll see there's volume knobs for each channel, so we can set the volume coming out of the amp. You'll also notice these LED indicators here for each channel. The power light in the middle will tell you when the amp is powered on. The signal light will tell you when you're receiving signal from your sound source. The clip light will tell you when the audio is clipping or getting too loud. And the protect light will go off when the output connection is shortened, when the load impedance is too low, or if there's an internal problem with the amplifier. Now, if we look at the back here, you'll notice we have speak-on outputs so we can power passive speakers. On top of that, you'll see the binding post outputs for channels A and B so we can power passive speakers through speaker wire. On the side, you'll see there's a switch to set the amp to stereo or bridge parallel mode. In stereo mode, the full range signal will be sent to both speakers. Parallel mode acts as our mono mode, so anything coming out of channel A alone will come out of the speakers. And bridge mode will combine the power of both channels together to power a high-powered speaker like a subwoofer. For that setup, you would want to use the binding post outputs in the middle where it says bridge underneath. Next, you'll see we have combo jack inputs for channels A and B so we can connect external amplifiers or mixers through XLR or quarter-inch connection. You'll see we also have XLR link outputs so we can send the signal from this amplifier out to another external amplifier or mixer. This would really come in handy if you wanted to link one amplifier that's powering your mixer and your speakers out to another amp that's powering your subwoofers for control over that whole setup. You'll also see this low pass filter switch that we can use to turn a low pass filter on or off, and when it's turned on, it allows anything from 80 Hz and below to pass through the amplifier. This is really helpful if you're powering your subwoofers with this amplifier. So now to connect our speakers to the amplifier, we're gonna need two speak-on cables. We'll take one end of both cables and plug them into the channels A and B speak-on outputs on the back of the amp. Then I'll take the other ends and plug them into the speak-on inputs on the back of the speakers. I also want to point out that both channels of our amplifier are 4 ohm stable, meaning you want to make sure that your speakers or combination of speakers you set up don't fall under 4 ohms. Here's a chart of all the different combinations of speakers you can set up with the amplifier. Like I mentioned before, we can connect a passive mixer so we can control everything coming out of the amplifier. So to connect our passive mixer to the amplifier, I'm gonna need 2 XLR cables. I'm gonna take the female ends of both cables and plug them into the XLR main outputs of our mixer. Then I'm gonna take the male ends and plug them into the XLR inputs on the back of the amplifier. And remember, we can also use quarter-inch cables to connect the mixer to the amplifier because of the combo jack inputs. Now to test out our setup, I'm gonna connect my phone into one of the channels here on our mixer. So now I can go ahead and turn on my mixer, then I can go ahead and turn on my amplifier. Now I'll raise the volume knobs on the front of the amp so that the signal reaches the mixer. Then I'll raise the main left and right faders on our mixer so we hear everything coming out of our speakers. And then I'm gonna raise the gain and volume faders on the channel we're using for music playback. So let's hear how our whole setup sounds. Yeah, a lot of power coming out of that amp. I'm gonna turn the volume up even more. Yeah. Very cool. Now with this kind of setup, you can connect anything to the channels on your mixer for a full live setup, DJ setup, and much more. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your D12 or D14 2-channel Class D power amplifiers. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.